Okay, so today we're going to be talking about how to make shapes, and this is going to lead us into the first part of our summative, which is the cityscape project. Okay, so the first part of this video, I'm going to go over how to create shapes, and then the second part of the video, I will go over how to start the project. Okay, and the project is going to be done across several lessons. So first of all, to create a shape, okay, so I have a new project here. I'm just going to show you a couple of shapes. So to create shapes, you are going to go into the shapes menu, which is right here. Okay, it's right next to the pointer tool. And you'll see that there's several options here, and we'll go over each one of them. So there's a couple ways to just make shapes. So if you click and drag on the rectangle, if you click and drag across, you can make a rectangle when you select the rectangle shape, okay? And you can fill it if you want. That's the, you can always fill these right here, right? So that's one way to make a shape, just click and drag. Notice that as soon as I make the shape, the tool menu jumps over to the pointer tool. Okay, so it doesn't remain on the rectangle tool because it assumes that you would like to be able to resize and move things around. All right, that may be annoying to you, may not be annoying to you. A quick key for the rectangle, by the way, is R. So I can just hit R on my keyboard and notice I jump over to the rectangle. A way to make a square is to hold down Shift as you click and drag, and that will make a square. Now you can tell that it is a square if you go over to the inspection panel, and you'll notice that the height and width right here are identical. Okay, and that leads me to the third way to make a polygon, which is if you click and drag on the polygon. Okay, this is a square. Oops. Hit save right here. Always hit save when that comes up. That would mean you can also hit the floppy disk icon to save it. When you make a rectangle right here, you can go and manually adjust the size right here. So let's say that I want this to be a square. Okay, let me I can just go ahead and manually adjust the size that way. So when I look at that, I can just go in and change it right here. Okay, so there's three ways to make it. Click and drag to make a rectangle, hold down Shift while you click and drag to make a square, and then you could just create a rectangle and then manually adjust it to your needs. Okay, so to make an ellipse, now remember ellipse is like a circle that doesn't have, well, every circle is an ellipse, but not every ellipse is a circle, right? So an ellipse is generally it is a rounded figure like this, where the vertical and the horizontal don't always have to be identical. Okay, so that's an ellipse. Okay, if I wanted to make a circle, again, I would just grab the ellipse tool. The ellipse tool has a E as a shortcut key. Whoops, I can just delete that. If I want to jump over, see right now I'm on the pointer tool because I have a mouse showing up here. I can jump to E and it'll get me to the ellipse tool. If I hold down Shift, I can make a perfect circle. Or again, pressing E, if I make an ellipse, I could just manually adjust the width and the height here to be something based on what I want. Okay, notice it also gives me an option. Oh, it's actually allowing me to increase and decrease as I click and then move my mouse up and down, which is kind of neat. I've never noticed that before. But I could just type it, key it in as well. Okay, so those are ways to make an ellipse, a square, a rectangle, a square, ellipse, and a circle. All right, let's talk about other polygons. So if I click here, I can make a polygon in general. So the first thing that's going to make, and by the way, if I hold down Shift, it will, oops, go back. What is the polygon? There's no shortcut key for the polygon, so I just have to go back to it. So if I hold down Shift, it kind of snaps it a little bit into place. It's not super special with the polygon. By default, it's going to make a hexagon, which is a polygon with 6 identical sides. It's like a regular polygon, so the sides are equal and the angles are equal here. You can go in and manually adjust or use the slider if you want to increase the sides. I think it goes up to 25, which looks a lot like a circle, but when you zoom in, you'll see that there's sides right there. Okay, so let me go back down to maybe an octagon, an 8-sided figure. Okay, if I want to adjust it there. Okay, now I'm zoomed in so that you can see this. But if I click on this and then hit the sub-select tool, you'll notice that I get these little anchor points that are in the center of this edge. Okay, and what's really neat about this is if I drag these inward, it creates a star. Okay, and I could turn it if I wanted to make a weird looking star. As I dragged it in, I could hold down Shift so that it creates the star points equally, so all the points are the same area. Okay, so that's if you hold down Shift and drag. Otherwise, you could just drag them inward and kind of, I guess these points are the same, but it would make it, you can turn it to make it look something like that. Right, so that's really neat. And again, that's by making a polygon and then hitting the sub-select tool, you have a few more options, and you could pull it in by any of the center points of the edges. Okay, you can also, if you wanted to, let me go back to just the regular pointer tool. You could change the corner radius. This is how sharp the corner is here, how sharp the edge is here. You could decrease it so that it's really rounded. I don't know how well you can see that, but these no longer meet at like an edge. Each of the edges are rounded. So you can do that by adjusting the corner slider right here. Okay, and there's some other features. Oh, it looks like you can take little bites out of the corner if you wanted to, which is really neat. And then I bet if you use the sub-select tool, you'd have some more options about how to bring those into. Oh, so you can make really kind of neat figures by just, so that was by clicking on this and clicking on these little setting icon here. Oh. Okay, so that's just different ways of making different polygons. And of course, if you wanted to make a triangle, by default, it makes an equilateral triangle. And then I bet if you would get more options if you hit the sub-select tool. So you can bring that triangle inward like that. All right, so those are just some options that you have to make polygons.